Here are my favorite features in DaVinci Resolve that I use in my workflow every single time I make one of these here YouTube videos. Now, there's nothing complicated in here. It's super simple because my process generally is super simple, and that's kind of why I want to show you. Some of it might not be relevant, and I'm not going to go into super detail in all of the different things, but I want to show you the features that I use that make my process super quick, super easy, get me decent, consistent results, and just generally make my life easier. My name's Alex, MrAlexTech. This is day one of the 12 days of MrAlexTechmas, where we create a bunch of content in the run-up to Christmas. We've got tutorials, we've got some behind the scenes, some vlogs, we'll do some live streams, do some discounts, and of course, we'll have some giveaways as well. And MrAlexTechmas is only possible thanks to Audiio, who are not only sponsoring this very video, but sponsoring the entire 12 days of MrAlexTechmas. So big thank you to Audiio. More on those in a moment. Right, let's kick things off with color management. So I shoot all of these videos on a Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark II, and I shoot in Vlog, which is a flat color profile, which looks something like this. Now, I don't really need to do that, to be honest, but I'm one of those people that likes to make the most out of my equipment, so I shoot in Vlog so that I get a flat color profile, and then I can mess around and tweak it and get the image looking how I want to in DaVinci Resolve. But if, like me, you're shooting in a log profile, you don't need to mess around with LUT or CSTs to get it in a workable, standard kind of level. You can use the built-in DaVinci Resolve color management, the automatic color management, to get everything standardized to Rec 709, so then you can just jump into the color page, start grading it. This all sounds really complicated. It's really simple. So here we are within a brand new project. If I click on the little cog or gear in the bottom right hand corner to open up the project settings, we've got the master settings. Obviously we'd set our timeline resolution and our timeline frame rate. But if we come down to color management on this little menu on the left, you will be set to DaVinci YRGB by default. If you change this to YRGB color managed, untick this little tick box, and then change this color processing mode to HDR DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. That's it. All we're doing there is we're telling DaVinci Resolve to use this big color space called DaVinci Wide Gamut. That means you can really make the most of your footage. When you're on the color page, you can push your highlights without clipping quite as much or bring down your shadows and kind of retain as much detail because you're in this super big mega color space. Now, I can hear the comments already, but you left the output color space as Rec 709 scene. You didn't change the gamma. Correct. If you're working on a standard computer monitor, leave the output color space set to Rec 709 scene. This is an appropriate setting for most web deliverables and will eliminate the appearance of SDR broadcasts with the gamma function baked in. If you're new to color grading or if your output is mainly web content, this setting is perfect for you. So we'll leave our output color space as Rec 709 scene, so everything will look pretty good on this display, and then when we actually render this project out, it will be in a good color space for publishing to the interwebs. Now, if you are doing colorist stuff or you're using a fancy grading monitor or you just want to learn all of the ins and outs, then of course, jump in, learn about CSTs, color space transforms, and all the different gammas and whatever else. But if, like me, you want something that's just fast, repeatable, makes the most out of your footage without all of the faff, it's a really, really good option. Anyway, let me show you what you have to do next. Now, don't forget, if you don't want to have to set this up every time, click on your three little dots and you can set these settings as the default preset, which is what I'm going to do. And then all you need to do is hit save. Now, I've imported some of my Vlog footage here and you can see it looks super flat. If we then simply highlight it within the media pool, I can right click. And because we're now working with this automatic color management, we now have an input color space option. If we hover over that, we get a bunch of different options. I simply need to find my one, Panasonic V Gamut Vlog, give that a click, and boom, everything's good to go. I can drop these on the timeline, and would you look at that? They already look pretty good, not washed out, not Vlog, and then I can jump over to the color page and start grading them if I want to. The other nice thing with this, if I import any other footage which isn't Vlog or any other log format like this OBS recording, I just don't change anything and it will look completely normal. The same as any images or anything else I put on my timeline. Next up, syncing audio. This is a quick one. I record all of my main audio via the camera with no microphone plugged in whatsoever. So this is what the audio actually sounds like. Then I also record the audio, obviously, with this big beefy mic in front of you. Now this isn't a particularly expensive mic. It's not XLR, it's just USB. And I keep this really simple as well. I haven't messed with this at all. I either record directly into OBS, but I also like to do a backup recording in Audacity, which is completely free to download. I just hit record and it's recording right now. And then I generally use that WAV file because it's super easy. Then I just need to sync things up. So in this project, I've got a cam folder and I've just dropped the WAV files and the video files. Now these have got the original audio, which doesn't sound great. Now, all I need to do is not select anything, just make sure there's nothing selected, right click within this bin, then come down, there is an option auto sync audio. I change the synchronize using to waveform and then click sync and it will go through all of those videos, all of those audio files and just sync everything up. So now if I grab the main and bring it down onto my timeline, M5 processors, I think, and it's got the good audio. The same with any of these, we just click and drag and off we go. Generally, that works every single time for me, completely flawlessly. I never have to do anything else. I just dump everything in a folder, auto sync everything up, and I'm good to go. So I've got my main down here. Let's go to OBS. I've got an OBS folder and I've got my OBS recordings. I've got main OBS, bring this down. The end ended up getting chopped off for some reason. Thank you to my camera, but there you go. Now you can see the waveforms are pretty similar. I could line them up manually, or what I could simply do is highlight everything on the timeline, right click. There is an option to auto align clips. Give that a click. Once again, change this to waveform and then sync. And that's just going to go through and sync up this OBS recording with the audio, with my main, with the audio. So then everything is aligned, just like so. What I tend to do then is highlight once again, right click and link, and then nothing will come out of sync. If I hold Alt and then click on my main OBS and hit D, I can just disable that. So then here's my talking heads section. And then if I do a little cut, hold Alt, click my main OBS and then D, we can activate that. And that's how I really quickly just switch between the two. But what about the actual audio processing that I do? I don't do much. So here we are with everything synced up. Now I don't actually need this main OBS audio. So if I hold Alt or Option, give it a click, and then I can delete that just to get rid of it. And then all of my voiceover is just on this audio track number 1. If I click on this audio 1 on the left, I can just type voiceover so I know exactly what that is. Then the first thing I do is normalize the audio. So if I just highlight everything, I can then right click and there is an option normalize audio levels, change the normalization mode to YouTube because I'm delivering to YouTube. And then we've got this set level. You can either do it relative, where it will find basically the peak in one of them and then base all the other clips off that similar peak. Or you can do independent, where each one is looked at, each clip is looked at independently. I haven't really cut anything up, so I'm just going to go independent and then normalize. And there we go. So now the volume has been roughly set correctly for YouTube. Now, if I give this a click over here on the left, my actual voiceover track, open up the inspector, I like to use the AI dialogue leveler. So I would simply toggle that on, allow wider dynamics, reduce the loud dialogue, lift soft dialogue, and background reduction. And then if you want to, you can bring the output gain up. Now there are different options with this. You can change allow wider dynamics, or you can optimize moderate level. So if everything is relatively balanced, you can just optimize things. You can do more lift for low levels. So if you have a really soft part, you can bring that up. And then there's a lift soft whispery sources as well. I leave this as allow wider dynamics. And those two things combined do a pretty good job of setting the volume. So normalization will look at the highest peaks and make sure they don't go louder than what YouTube likes. And then by turning on the dialogue leveler, it'll take all of the other sort of lower bits and bring them up as well. And any high bits it'll bring down, which is very similar to a compressor. But this is like a single click. You just turn this on and let it do its thing. And that's all I do. Well, bar one other thing. If we click on Mixer in the top right-hand corner, you can open this mixer here. I've got my voiceover track. You can see here we have EQ. If you double-click on EQ, it will open up the equalizer. At the top left here, you can see it says Default. If you give that a click, there are some general things to use. I like male lav finisher because it takes some of the bottom end out, some of that rumble, and it brings the top end up a little bit, and as well as doing some other stuff, which takes my audio sounding like this. It's just the M5s which are capable of decoding and turns it into something sounding more like this, being 32K, to be honest. Because if you open up your version, the only other thing I will mention is I do everything in mono, because it's just a simple voiceover. I don't need to mess around with stereo, so I make sure to change my tracks to mono, and that's about it. Now, audio and the EQ, much like color, is as deep as you want it to be. If you want to drill in and try and perfect everything, you absolutely can, or you can just get quite far just by doing the basics. Now, if you do want to learn more about EQ, our good friend Jason Yodlowski has literally just posted an EQ masterclass, a deep dive video over on his channel, so I will link that down below. You should definitely go check it out if audio is your thing. And if you are into audio, then you might want to check out Audiio. Audiio has all of the music and sound effects you could ever need, with some of the fastest ways to find just the right track. And they've just introduced their new Pro Plus plan, designed for filmmakers at any scale, giving you access to everything Audiio has to offer with zero size restrictions. And introducing Voices. Instantly transform your own voice recording into one of Audio's 20 different voices. Voices uses your own voice recording to drive the energy, timing, flow, and emotion. This isn't text to speech. You still have to deliver the script exactly the way you want it. To check out Audiio for yourself, simply click on the link down in the description below. You can use the code ALEX70 to get 70% off your first year of the Audiio Pro license, or use the code VOICES40 to get 40% off that Pro Plus license, which includes voices. Right, next up, the actual editing. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this, but there's one thing I need to mention. Well, three things I need to mention. It's keyboard shortcuts that I set up, because it makes life a billion times easier. So if we take a look at my timeline here, we've got some big gaps here. So if I put my playhead right at the end of this one, I'm going to hit my keyboard shortcut to do a cut, a razor, a split, whatever you want to call it. Nothing complicated about that. Then if I put my playhead here, where the next bit of talking begins, I can hit my other keyboard shortcut to just get rid of that gap. We're doing a cut and we're shifting everything to the left. I can do that the other way by making a cut right here before this bit, and then coming back to this bit here, and then I'll cut, delete, and close the gap that way. It makes the whole process of cutting and then deleting the gaps you've created so much quicker. Now, I like to use 1, 2, and 3, the actual 1, 2, 3 keys. 2 does that simple cut. 1 will close everything and move it to the left, because 1 is to the left. And if we do a cut here, and then I use number 3 to delete everything to the right of the playhead and then close the gap like so. Some people prefer to do Q, W, and E. It depends on preference, whatever you like. The main thing is to set this up, click on DaVinci Resolve, then come to Keyboard Customization. Then in this little search box over on the right, type split clips, and you will find the shortcut for split clips. Now, I've set mine to the number 2. To do that, you simply click on the little plus and then type the keyboard shortcut in the box. The number 2 is already assigned because it is used for multicams, but I very rarely use multicams, so I don't really care, so I assign that. And then for the other 2, just change this search to be ripple, and then scroll down to the bottom, you'll see trim, and then ripple. If you expand this ripple, you'll see end to playhead and start to playhead. So I've assigned start to playhead as the number 1, and then end to playhead as the number 3. Once that's done, you hit save. You may be asked to give your new keyboard customization preset a name. Mine's just simply called Alex New. And then you're good to go. You can start making your cuts and chopping things up nice and quickly. Next up, we've combined one kind of into 2, and it's adjustment clips and power bins. So adjustment clips are just generally useful if you're trying to zoom in or punch in or do a zoom or whatever else. And then power bins allow you to save a bunch of your most commonly used things in a place that you have access to in all of your old and future projects. So for adjustment clips, click on Effects, top left, then come down to Effects within the Effects library. Right at the very top, you'll see Adjustment Clip. Bring this down so you put an adjustment clip above all of your other things. So I can lengthen this out, give the adjustment clip a click, and then anything we do to this adjustment clip will actually affect everything underneath. So if I was to zoom into the adjustment clip, it would be zooming in the footage underneath. If we were to hide this OBS clip, you can see the actual clip of me is zoomed in as well. So you can use these for punch-ins. If you want to do a nice little punch-in at a certain time, you can set one of these up with a bit of a zoom. And then if I give it a click, hold Alt and drag, I can duplicate these on my timeline. So everywhere I want to punch in, it's already done. If you give them a click, open the inspector once again and go to File, you can actually give these a name. I'm going to call this Zoomy. So then you know exactly what it is. And once again, same area, you can set this to be a different color. So really quickly from a distance, you know where all of your punch-ins are. Then rather than having to set these up every single time you start a new project, open up your media pool, click on these three little dots, and then come to Show Power Bins. Power bins will appear within your media pool over here on the left, and then anything you put in here, so I can put my Zoomy in, and then delete these off my timeline. I can then grab my Zoomy, bring it down, put it on my timeline, and I've got this punch in ready to go. If I was to go back to an old project, my Zoomies would be in my power bin, and if I create a brand new project in the future, I've always got access to this Zoomy. I can bring it down and put it anywhere on my timeline. You can also apply effects to adjustment clips, so it's not just standard transforms. If I put this adjustment clip down here, once again, go to the effects library and let's go to Resolve FX and let's go with something like a mosaic blur. I can put the mosaic blur on there, and again, wherever this adjustment clip is, we'll have that mosaic blur applied. Pop that in your power bin and you're good to go. Next up, the grade. Now, I'm not going to go too much into how I grade things. I'm not a grading expert. I'm not a colorist. But let me show you the process, because there are one or two things which I do just to make life easier, and you might not know about them. So let me show you. And the very first thing is using clip colors. So anyone that's ever graded anything will know that if you've accidentally cut things up like this and you haven't yet done your grade, when you go over to the color page, it can all be a bit annoying because you need to find all of the same clips. And there are different ways to do this. You can right click and there is something called using local grades, and you can group things and you can do all this sort of stuff. But here's the process I really like to do. If we go to my media pool, I can find my cam folder where my original camera footage is. I've got main, gaps, and end. So I'm going to hold Control and select all of those. Then within the inspector, we go to File. If we change the clip color, it will change the color of those clips you've used on the timeline. So all of my talking head, all of my A-roll, even after I've edited things, I've chopped everything up, I can come here and I can change the color. So I can make all of my talking head orange. Now, if I show you one of my actual projects, you will see all of my talking head is nice and orange down here. That means if I go to the color page, while currently everything is all assorted down here on the clips, it's all a bit of a mess and it's all a bit of a pain. If we click on clips in the top left-hand corner, then go to clip color and filter by orange, I can just be looking at all of my clips which are highlighted in orange. It means that I know which clips are my A-roll on my timeline because everything's orange, which is just the way that I like to work. And it means when I jump over to the color page, I can filter by orange and then I can just do the color grade to everything in one big go. Now, of course, I could have done the color grade before I chopped everything up, but then everything runs a bit slower if you're using sort of denoising or grain or whatever. So this is the process that works really well for me. Now, from the color page, if I open up the gallery, you will see stills and you will see power grade. Power grade is a power bin for color grades. So if I go to this, I've already got my color grade set up. I can then simply middle mouse click on it, or I can right click and I can apply the grade, and that will apply my entire grade to my footage. So I keep things really simple. Once again, I have an exposure one where I simply set the offset, which is exposure. I then do balance for things like gain and lift to kind of do my shadows. I've then got one for contrast, one for saturation. This one is called de-redder. You probably don't need this, but Lumix likes to come out a bit pink, so I just get rid of some of the red, and then I finish everything off using the Film Look Creator, which is available within the effects library, but it is only available on the paid studio version of DaVinci Resolve. But I really like it. It's dead easy, and off we go. Now, to set your own power grade up, first thing you want to do is click on this power grade bin over on the left. If you right click any empty space, you can actually add your own power grades as well. So you can have as many folders as you like. With that selected, you do a grade, you do a color grade just like this. And then you right click on the preview screen and you grab a still. and that will put that still within this power grade. And even though it's called a still, if I reset this, right click, apply the grade, it contains all of the nodes, all of the labels, and all of the changes you've made. So then you've got your grade applied just like so. Then I've got all of my other clips. I'm going to highlight them all on this clips area down here. If you don't see this, you simply click on clips up in the top left, and then I can middle mouse click on the one with my color grade applied, and that will just apply that grade to all of my clips like so. Then I just need to remember to come to clips, change this back to all clips, and we're good to go. The deliver page, again, is one of those things. It's like color and it's like audio. There's loads of different options and you can dive really deep into it if you want to. I don't. If you think this video looks okay, here are the render settings I use. On the deliver page, I've got these presets set up. So I've got one called YouTube 30 because I export these for YouTube and I use 30 frames per second. But this is a preset I've already set up. How did I make this? Well, all I did was click on H.265 master. So this is the general master presets that are in the H.265 codec. The format I leave as QuickTime. The codec I leave as H.265. I do have an NVIDIA GPU, so I like to switch that over to NVIDIA. And then I leave everything else as it is. Timeline resolution stays as it is. Frame rate, quality, encoding profile, all of this other stuff, preset, very fast, etc. Scroll down under advanced. By default, it will be doing the color space and the gamma, same as the project, which of course we set earlier, which is going to be this Rec 709 scene. And that's it. When I do my subtitles, I will tick my subtitles box. I am on the studio version, so I can create them automatically. And then in terms of audio, I generally will do this as linear PCM, and then the bit depth as 32. But realistically, that's probably overkill and you probably won't notice a huge difference. Doing it in MP3, for example, will probably be absolutely fine. The benefit of using MP3 as well is if you want to cross-post this to other platforms, like Instagram, for example, doing linear PCM won't actually work on Instagram. You have to set your audio to MP3, unless they've updated it since the last time I did it. But previously, that's what I had to do. So there you go. The last thing I do, audio normalization. Give that a tick and I optimize to standard and then set the standard to YouTube. I made a whole video talking about what this actually does, so I've linked that down below if you want to check it out. But essentially, it's very similar to the normalization and the other stuff we did earlier, but it just makes sure all of the volumes are roughly set correctly for YouTube. So it should be at the right volume when it actually makes it onto YouTube itself. Then to set this as a preset, we click on these three little dots in the top right-hand corner. We save as a new preset. You can give this a name. You can give it a little icon so it's nice and easy to find, and you can add it to the quick export if you want it to be available from quick export. We then hit save. It's there, ready to go. So whenever I want to export, I click new preset, give it a name, give it a location, add to the render queue, and job done. If I don't even want to jump to the deliver page, from the edit page, I can click on quick export, scroll down, I now have my new preset, give that a click, export that out, and off you go. So there you have it. Hopefully, while this video was longer than expected, you can see I don't do anything fancy. Everything I do is really, really simple, and I try and save it for later. There are actually a bunch of different ways that you can save pretty much all of that stuff that I've done into a template called a DaVinci Resolve bin file. So you just double click, that will open up, and then you can just start doing the work. I've made videos about that as well. So again, it's all linked down below. But hopefully this video has been useful. You've seen my process, and maybe, just maybe, you can use this to simplify your own workflow and save yourself just that little bit of time. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you next time.